Good evening. It's Marte. It's Tuesday. Martes in Spanish. But we were talking in Latin here. Marte. Mars. Planet Mars. Okay, so tonight, the theme tonight is going to be Divine Defense Intervention. This day is a day with certain particular forces. Every day has, again, its purpose. Today, the purpose of today is to get justice. Justice in whichever way we can. No one likes to be taken advantage of. No one likes to be taken for granted. And no one likes to be made a fool of. So, bad. We don't want any of that, right? But we get it. And which is why it's important for those that dwell here in the realm of spirituality are careful and are real and have some knowledge of laws and principles. Because this is not something like some internet game where you can just say, oh, fake it till you make it kind of thing, you know. Because faking it and masquerading is a cardinal sin, especially when you get caught. It will be treated as a cardinal sin. So, to be taken very seriously. So tonight, again, the title of the theme is Divine Defense Intervention. Throughout the years, and I was pretty young, and it had nothing to do with anything. I didn't know anything about spirituality. I was just going to church just like any other boy was, and being sent to church and listen to a sermon or a mass. So, things would happen. I'd come home vomiting, severely vomiting with nausea from church, and high fever, and no one knew why. It happened 2 or 3 times, and the third time, my mother says, you know, there's something going on there. Because this is the other thing. Anything has to be related with spirituality and gifts of that are, I don't know. I don't want to use the paranormal thing, but there are gifts that everyone has, not everyone inherits, and not everyone wants. But you don't have a choice. You know, you're born with this, certain innate abilities, you're inheriting certain gifts from your mother, from your grandparents, from their great-grandparents, and so on and so forth. The other thing is being a young soul or an old soul, you know? Oh, yeah. They've been around here. I've been around for, I don't know, must be about 3,000 some odd years. I don't know. Look, that's the other thing. So tonight's theme is a very important theme because it pertains to each and every one of us. We like to have beautiful lives, you know, rich lives, you know, living the American dream and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes because of either politics or spirituality, we can't get there. There's blockages. There's people or things that do not want to see you succeed. And we know that there's many billionaires. They're not even educated. So they didn't have to go through all these college funds and debts and things like that, but they're born with this gifts to them. All right, so the thing is that they're there, you know, and some of us are not there. Should be there, but we've been fighting wars because of our environment, our atmosphere, people that necessarily pertains to business. I work in a very conservative field, and that's, but other things that happen throughout life. Going back to the story, let me rewind, like Jamaicans say, rewind, and I'll rewind to when I was vomiting as a kid. So my mother went with me, and she sat with me, and she looked around. She looked around, and she spotted that one person she suspected of giving me the evil eye. And so she approached her and asked her to come over to my house, to our house, and heal me, because it was very strange that it was 3 times in a row at the same time. It happens, you know, between 11 and 12. So it was not good. She healed me, the lady. I remember it was like with a cigarette. It was very strange. Hey, my father was very conservative. He was a merchant. He had nothing to do with anything. He was just a merchant. My mother, God rest her soul, was given to my father. And my father was mid-40s, and my mother was like 16. Grandparents knew my father. They knew he was a good man. He would take good care of her. Here's our daughter. All right. So my mother has all this other abilities and all this other gifts. You know, she was very artistic as well. And that's where I get my gifts from. God bless her soul. And my father, well, the business. You know, I'm a professional. I'm a merchant. I'm responsible, reliable. You know, just right there, how it's supposed to be. I'm very responsible and a very hard worker. So the thing is, now people want to disrupt your lives. Okay, this lady, maybe she just had this thing about my appearance, or she was on a mission for someone else to make me ill, and she was succeeding until my mother put a stop to it. Okay. So that was physical intervention, because it was my mother that took charge. But then there's the spiritual intervention, okay, where we personally, we don't, we suffer. Oh, we suffer. You know, when we are victims, we are victims. You know, and it's rough. And I don't desire it on anyone. But the fact is, a lot of things have happened. And I usually don't take notes, but yeah. First of all, my father dies on my 16th birthday. I was out with my friends. He was recovering, and I was supposed to pick him up in the morning. My driver's license at the age of 14, hardship. I was the only son left. I was the baby boy. My other brothers had already left at home, and I was taking care of my father, you know. And wow, he was a working person. I was not taking care of him because he wasn't. No. He was very active, a lot of energy, and he was able to suffer on the 3rd heart attack is when he left us, and it was very hard on me, because he was at an age where he was my father and he was also my grandfather, and I was this baby boy, and so it was a terrible thing. And especially every birthday I had to go through all this, the sweet and bitter thing, you know. Sweet because I have to give thanks that I lived one more year and I'm healthy. bitter because of the memory that just stays so vivid with me. It's like it's not going to go away anywhere. So that's why I guess they say, you know, we can forgive, but we cannot forget. And so then we go on to yes, later on, put our father to rest, and I moved to Las Vegas with my sister, and then I lived in Arizona, but never California. I keep saying I never made it in California. Okay, so then I come back, and my friends take me out on a date. They said, we got to go for you, you know. And I said, oh God, I don't like this blind date stuff, you know. And sure enough, I get there. The one I liked, which looked kind of like a little small version of Barbara Streisand. It was the eyes and everything. It was incredible, sexy. So I liked her, of course, but she was with a buddy of mine already. She was taken, in other words. And so they sent me over to her sister. Her sister kind of had her looks, just didn't have that grace, but had a lot. She had fire, sexuality. She knew I didn't like her. I mean, not her face, and I guess I'm particular about women. You know, I like something about the way they dress and smell that makes the whole thing. You know. All right, so what she does? I guess she'd done it before. Obviously, she kind of just, you know, she went back so, and then she just opened up. Hello. And well, yeah, no, gee, one thing led to another. And yeah, but she was think about her, she treated me like a king, you know. She was a Leo. She treated me like, you know, she'd cook and she'd bring me food in bed. Okay? She did everything for me. And a lot of sex. But the thing is, she was very strange in that area. You know, she was, look, there are women that are just born that way, and then nobody makes them that way. They're just that way, insatiable. No one man is going to be able to satisfy that. They can love you. Sure, she loved me. Sure. But she would never excuse herself for her sexual acts and behavior. You know, that's how I started. And gee, I don't know, for some guys, they say, wow, but look, there's a price. Bottom line here, she got pregnant. And for this, I blame myself. About 20 years, I blamed myself until I finally came to the realization in my heart and my mind that it wasn't my doing at all. Look, this is about education. This is not about judgment. This is about conveying a higher awareness, okay? Things like this happen, and it happened to me. Why? I don't know. I don't want to get into the karmic thing, whatever, but, you know, I was driven by sex. The Scorpio in me, you know, plus I'm Leo too, what the hell? So, this doesn't help any. Anyhow, so, yeah. While she was pregnant, which I didn't know no one knew she was pregnant, because she had a very tiny waist to begin with. So when she got up to 5 months pregnant, you couldn't really tell. But she was going about her sexual life just like she wasn't pregnant. Gangbanged, because for her, that attitude that some women have is the more the merrier. It's going to get you there. And of course, once you step into that arena, I don't think you can ever be the same. You would have to go through some sort of alchemical process, which is dealing with the soul. Because, I mean, you can wash it all you want, okay? Wash them and whatever, but it's still like they say, my godfather would say, look, you can take the tiger out of the jungle, but you can't strip him of his stripes. The stripes will be there. Anyhow, shall we move on? My son was born with something called, he was a beautiful boy, but he was born with hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus is a lack of distribution. And when we have liquids we drink, there's a certain percentage that rinses the brain and then just goes down. Well, the water was not draining down his spine like it's supposed to, and so the head gets bigger. There's pressure in the brain, and then the skull. So sort of kind of enlarges or puts pressure on there. So it was a terrible, terrible nightmare for me to go through it at a very young age. She was 2 years older than me, but she might as well have been 30 years old. I mean, it's just the way she carried on. The thing is, I blame myself for 20 years. Once I got into spirituality, once I got to the point where I had to live or die. I had to decide, live or die, okay? I had to renounce my ways. Everything was dark, everything was ugly, everything was pain, insomnia, night sweats, anxiety, oh my God. So even walking on crutches. Why? I had a period of time when I played with some West Africans. And this is not to say against all the tribes no, this is not a personal thing. I mean, this was personal. This was got nothing to do with anyone else except a person's envy, a person's spirit, a person's wanting to hurt you, wanting to create the worst for you. And this was happening behind my back. So little by little, eventually caught up to me. And it was a terrible, terrible ordeal. And a lot of people not going to believe this and think I'm nuts or whatever. Hey, you didn't live it. You didn't suffer through it. I suffered through it. And I was walking on crutches because of pin fractures. The doctors, I went to all doctors. They gave me bad news. They could not heal me. Pin fractures, I had not even been in an accident. No injury. Pin fractures on the sides of both of my feet. So I was on crutches, living up on the third floor. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible experience. And I was living alone. And I had gotten rid, I didn't kill her, but I'd say I got separated from my first marriage, and I got divorced. But that time I couldn't stand her being around. She was no saint either, but she didn't cause this. It was another thing. And so it was considered a very wicked practice from that particular tribe. And hey, look, I met someone, that one person helped me help myself. And that's what I said on the last video. Help me help myself. That's all I ever ask. The rest comes from up above, from the hierarchy. Divine defense intervention. All right. So yeah, I got healed. Very powerful lady. Very few in this country that healed me. She performed an astral operation. Here again, it's not for me to try to convince you or sell you on anything. I'm talking to you about what is real. And I cannot tell you everything because that's going to be part of my book and my movie in the near future. So I healed and we moved on. Okay, so then my brother dies. My sweet, loving brother dies. That's the other thing. I'm not saying all this because I don't want sympathy. I don't want your sympathy. What I want, if you have to share it, is empathy. Mostly what I want is understanding, because if I'm going to do this thing in the public, more private. I've had this private for almost all my life. I've kept it private, but now I'm because I'm trying to again convey, and for reasons of raising the level of consciousness, okay, a higher awareness. All right, so my brother, it hurt me very profoundly. But before my brother dies, my son dies. My son died, I think, after his grandmother died. There was really no one to care for him. His mother was always here and there and everywhere. And I don't know what ended up happening to her. I think she should have been into prostitution, because the way she was going, it was just ridiculous. She might as well make a living off it. Either way, 1 year after my son's grandma died, he dies. Supposedly of pneumonia of some sort. So yeah, and then 2 years later, my brother dies. 2 years after my brother dies, my mother dies. My mother and my brother were very close. They were both Libras. Well, even my father was a Libra. And so, I don't know, it's hard to recuperate when, you get hit every 2 years, boom, profoundly, Oh yeah. Then I take this, I got betrayed by a guru, or a person that was a mentor of mine, and I think he had something to do with this one. He hit me so hard that I fell face down on the ground. I mean, I had to go away for about 5 months, and I don't mean go away, I'm crazy. No, with my family. I have sisters that opened their doors, and my brother-in-laws, everybody were very loving and caring, and they were concerned about my health. And they all told me the same thing: do not worry about money, do not worry about food. We want you to get it together and go back and confront your demons. In the meantime, I had left my daughter behind, and I even wrote a song about that. I never thought I'd be away from my daughter like that, and I was. I had no choice. I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia again. I had everything. And so when I was in that, for those 5 months, I trained. I think I spoke about this before. I trained. I lost 28 pounds. I got it together. Suddenly, I go from rock bottom, and my sister even cried. They all cried when they saw me because I looked so bad. Okay, so afterwards, I said, I'm going to go to the track field with you. I'm going to, in the mornings, my sister would go to track field, so I'm going to go with you. Then I said, I'm going to lay off your landscaper. She had 4.5 acres around her home, her ranch home, beautiful, 5-bedroom, and it was just quite a sanctuary for me to go. And my sister she's a beautiful person. Anyhow, so I got it. my God, I work in the sun. I did all this exercise and all this kind of stuff. 28 pounds later, I'm being showcased in some of the high-end nightclubs in that area where I was at. And it was a couple of cities where I was going at an agent. And wouldn't you know, this agent was the person that got Eva Longoria, where she got her connected. So yeah, she was for real. I wasn't for real. I couldn't really sing back then. I mean, I was more of an actor, and I fit the role. I played the role. I dressed really nice, and I was showcased here there. But then I came back because I knew that I had to come back and confront my demons. Plus, I had court. I had divorce court. I had to fight for my father's rights. I got put through hell. I mean, also being married to a narcissistic person. Again, when I open up the show, I say, no one likes to be taken advantage of, taken for granted, taken for a fool. No one, especially a person that was already a player. He was already doing all this stuff. He'd been back and forth, and renounced his ways and got into spirituality with his balls in place, with his spine straight and firm, with his heart of blood and flesh, not stone anymore, with his brain fresh and new, like a brand new computer. I'm telling you, when I got married, it was a serious thing, the second marriage. And which brings me to, it's been so challenging. Before, I never had problems. I mean, a multitude of women, but that's not the problem. The thing is that mentality I had to leave behind. You know, the bad girls, the this and the that, you know, I had to leave them behind. I said, you know, I can't continue to do the same thing over and over. So I've been trying to do this, but I always end up, the second marriage was a complete abortion in various ways. And after that, I was on my own for a while, but I was dating, But then I met this one girl, and she says to me, and yeah, she was a lot of fun, and she, you know, again, a lot of sexuality, a lot of stuff happening, you know, every weekend, and this and that and the other. And I spent 7 years off and on with her, but what problem is that I should have left her a long time before that, because she says to me one day, you know, Noah, if I get pregnant, I'm going to get an abortion. Yeah. I was already traumatized because when I got married, I didn't want my daughter to be the only child. I wanted her to have a brother or a sister. I wanted her to have siblings. And, excuse me, it didn't work out that way. Not at all. And so when this girl tells me this, esoterically, I don't know, you know, psychologically, I was not able to reach an orgasm inside her womb. I couldn't. I just couldn't. It was like something like, oh, I can't have another creation of mine be destroyed after losing my son and him being born how he was and everything. It's too much. It's too much. So I'm not going to make this a whole big thing, because I know that I try to keep thus far everything within 20 minutes. I don't know. But divine defense intervention is kicked in time and time again. I had a girlfriend. Well, I liked her very much. I liked the way she dressed and smelled, and she fixed her own jewelry and fantastic sexual animal. But she's the one that says, oh, no, listen, I was married for 16 years. I had a lot of catching up to do. Well, and I let her be who she was. We hang out together. We go, party, dance, and whatever, eat, go on dinner, this. And they would buy her drinks and she'd bring them to me. But the thing is that at the same time, she had 3 kids. You could never tell she even had kids. She had 3 kids, and they were young, and she was leaving them alone while she'd go out and party. And the worst thing is when she got hooked up with this guy, she says, well, he gives me cocaine, and he's got a horse cock. Okay, well, that's a great combination for her to just lose herself foolishly, because that one guy is not going to be loyal to her. Besides, once he makes her his bitch, or especially his cocaine bitch, he's pretty much just going to move on to another because he's in demand, isn't he? I mean, so the kids left her, and she says, oh, the kids were everything to me. But you know what? Why would you do that to your kids? Leave them alone overnight, maybe for a couple of days. Who's feeding them? They could cook. I mean, they weren't kids like babies or nothing there, but they were young kids placed in a neighborhood where they surely didn't belong. A whole different culture. So a lot of things like that, and I just got out of the picture, and then later I find out that I run into her, and she looked so bad. Nothing. The person that was there before, the bubbly, energetic, now she was just broken because her kids left her, and she didn't think that would happen. So, look, I mean, divine defense intervention. The person that did that, that African person that did that to me, he's dead. When I was a kid, I missed one thing. I wrote a song when I was 17. My father had died a year before. I was just an artist. I was just a little boy, 17-year-old young boy. Got into a band and wrote a song. It became a hit. They promoted. But I had nothing to do with the copyright. I didn't even know anything about that. No one spoke to me about it. So I got ripped off at a very young age by some bastards. They were taking candy from a baby. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah, so, he had a son that he wanted his son to take over the business. The son says, no, I don't want anything to do with his business. All right. Excuse me. And things happen. Things happen to certain people. The band leader, he ends up going into a garage, locking himself up, turns on the car, and a cowardly death. He wasn't a coward in the first place. He just got very envious because all the attention was on me, because I had written that song, and because it was my first song and it was a hit, and they had written 200, 300, 400 songs. They couldn't come up with a hit. Understand? It's a phenomenal thing. The guys that I beat up, the bullies, everybody was scared to death of them. I mean, it took me seconds to take them out, and not to dinner. I didn't think about the dinner. No, I took them out, and it took me seconds. Why? Because, well, you heard of Fast and Furious, right? How about Fast and Ferocious and clever? You have to be all those things, and do not lose your cool, and you don't panic. I learned that many, many years ago. Saved my life. So yeah, all this stuff, I had nothing to do with it directly. All these people that learned their lessons, or they got thrown into the abyss, or they died. A couple of them also, a particular Person ends up getting brain cancer. The other one gets breast cancer. So, look, again, I'll say for the third time, no one likes to be taken advantage of. No one likes to be taken for granted. No one likes to be taken for a fool. I came into this realm of spirituality with a good heart, okay? Blood, not stone. My mind, again, was reprogrammed. All data, all files deleted, replaced, reprogrammed, sort of like artificial intelligence, aside from the spiritual alchemy that went on, the metamorphosis of the healing and all the pain, everything went away. It was just, I can sleep like a baby, I can run, I can jog, I can do all kinds of stuff. Things that I was cursed not being able to do. Aside from everything that happened, my family members. So between hardship and envy. Envy, it is the root of all evil. Okay? For sure. No doubt about it. Money can play a role. It depends where you're at. I have nothing against money. I hope soon things will turn around and I defeated who I have to defeat. The rest, divine defense intervention, will take care of the rest. The residue and whatever else. But people that hit me directly, that's why you cannot have fakers here in this realm, okay? People that masquerade, people that are cowards, people that will abuse their powers just because they have the powers, they feel they can just do it to you. No, there's laws and principles. There's hermetic laws, natural laws, cosmic laws, universal laws. Hey, and if you don't abide by those, if you're going to wipe your ass with that and wipe your ass with somebody like me, not just me, somebody like me who's earned his degrees and everything, his degrees and I mean, you can't see the wings, but I will fly up like the phoenix from the fire and the ashes. Here we go. Mars, red, right? Having mercy, and Jupiter, blue. I was burning copal earlier to clear the space. So tonight, that's going to be it. I just want to close this by saying that, well, pretty much what I said. I got into this with a good heart, all right? A good spirit, and with the right attitude. To respect others, all you're going to, expect is for them to understand you. When you understand a person, then you start respecting that person. You start understanding and respecting that person, and you start loving that person. That's it. But you gotta get there. Maybe you never will. So with this, I'll leave you for tonight. I thank you so much for your attention. The theme tonight was Divine Defense Intervention. I had to expose and disclose what I did because, again, it's about reaching a higher awareness. These things do exist, and they do not happen to everyone, but then everyone is not gifted with certain things, and it's like being the chosen, but no guarantees of anything. But you have to have the cojones, you have to have the balls to do what you're going to do, the brains. In fact, I formed something called BBI, okay? And soon you'll see it, because it's already been patent copied. Brains, balls and imagination. That's what you need, aside from the creativity. So we will get into that tonight. I thank you again, and I hope you have a good, nice rest. I do have to get up very early tomorrow morning, and it's time for me to go. Thank you. And hey, you know, I posted today, I need love. Give me a little bit of love here, right? And if you're a queen and you got it all together, you understand me, where I'm coming from, then come forward. Introduce yourself. All right, very good. And thank you, and may you have a good life. Until the next time, next week, or maybe this weekend, I'll talk to you guys again. And soon we'll get this courses going together. We're going to do mantras. We're going to do chanting. We're going to chant some mantras. We're going to get into that. We're going to do the chakras. We're going to do some of the basic Kabbalah. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff happening here, okay? But that's going to be in the form of webinars. And we're going to have to sign up for that and all that good stuff, all right? Thank you again. May the gods be with you now and forever.